Hello, my name's Mark, one of the big here at Hikvision. Thank you for this live presentation on Enhanced Smart-Linkage PTZ. I'm going to start by giving you a short presentation introducing the product to you. That'll be followed by my colleague doing a live presentation showing all the features I'm going to discuss in the presentation. Then we're going to have an interactive survey using a format called Mentimeter, where I'll be asking a website called menti.com and short questions just to provide us some valuable feedback on the product and the presentation. As a thank you for this, we're then going to close with a prize draw. So, before we get started, if you have any questions, the email address now on the slide for you, answers.uk@hikvision.com, and we've got some technical people answering those questions for you live throughout this morning. Camera design. When it comes to camera design, when you're asked to go to a site to survey, you're normally told what people are looking to achieve. And there's normally a number of fixed views, a number of critical areas to your client that you have to cover. So traditionally, you may consider, particularly on larger sites, pan, tilt, zoom cameras, the moving dome cameras, where there's a few choices of, or a number of fixed cameras, or a number of fixed cameras and a number of PTZ cameras. Well, what I'm going to show you is another product for you to consider when designing your CCTV system. So the schematic you can see on the screen at the moment, it shows, if you look at person A and person B, those two blue lines are showing what a PTZ would normally see when it's zoomed out. When you then zoom in to track and get more information on person A, you now lose the information about person B. But if you had a static camera, like the bullet view that we're showing there, with the bullet view, you can capture not just person A and B, you also can see person C as well. However, you might not get enough detail about the three people in that scene. And that's why the Enhanced Smart-Linkage PTZ is something to consider for these type of applications. Let me show you the product. The Bullet Linkage PTZ. So here it is. It's one camera with two lenses. So you've got a lens on the top and you've got the PTZ lens on the bottom. So the top one is a fixed lens and the bottom one is the PTZ. The fixed lens above drives the PTZ camera below. Both cameras have AcuSense technology built in, which I'll explain a little bit more about, and also LiveGuard. So here as you can see, diagram number one, picture number one, this is your bullet camera view. So this is showing you what you'd see with your static camera. And on picture two, this is where the PTZ can zoom in and get the details. I'll show you a video on how this goes together. So as you can see, on the left-hand side, you've got that overview camera, so you've got that as a fixed, predetermined view. But when it sees that human walk into an area, the PTZ will then track that person through it. But what they're doing is it's not using smart tracking at this point, it's using absolute zero positioning from that fixed camera to follow that person as they go through that scene, giving you lots of options on how you track people and how you prioritize who you track and when to track. Once they leave the scene, the PTZ camera, because it's got quite a powerful 32 times optical zoom on it, it can see beyond that fixed view that we've got and it can carry on. So it can take over and then start using the smart tracking. You could have had that PTZ set up on a patrol, so using the full 360. So you've got it panning around behind the camera, zooming in and out of different spaces, but the fixed camera has absolute priority. So any alarms that come into that area, the PTZ will stop its patrol, zoom round and start tracking what you've asked it to track. So here we see the bullet linkage. So this is the fixed camera linked to the PTZ camera and how that works. So the one on the left is showing you something called circularly tracking. Now, circularly tracking is where we've set it up that any vehicle comes into that scene, zoom in and get information about that vehicle. But after 2 seconds, that alarm is now over. Now, if you get another one that comes in, go to that one. Hence why we're able, using circular tracking, to be able to zoom in on that car, zoom in on that car, zoom in on that car, zoom in on that car. All driven by that fixed camera that's moving the PTZ below, gathering all that detailed information that you need, but never losing any of the wider view. On the right-hand video that's now playing, we've got something called manual tracking. So with the manual tracking, I don't know if you've ever operated a PTZ joystick. I've had good fortune of doing that a few times, and it's very difficult. You see a target in the scene, you pan round, you twist to zoom in, and by the time you get there, sometimes the person might have moved a little bit and you're trying to track left or track right to try and find them. Well, with the smart linkage, because you're looking at a fixed view, you just draw a box on there and it zooms straight into that, and you can click and you can track, and it's very easy to keep that person in view and get that detail that you're looking for. Now, not only have you got the two lenses with the fixed and the PTZ, they've both got a technology called AcuSense built into that. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the AcuSense, what it is, it's using Hikvision's deep learning algorithms. It's where we've trained the cameras through templating and clever technology to ignore objects of motion. So it gets all the motion events that come in, filters out anything that's not of interest, anything that's not a human or a vehicle. Things like rain, things like shrubbery perhaps that's moving around, or birds that are flying through the scene. Because when you designed and installed this CCTV system, you didn't do that to capture birds normally, or shrubbery, or the weather. So because of the AcuSense technology, that will filter out all that false alarms. So the alerts that do come through are actual humans or vehicles. And you decide, do you want human? Do you want vehicles, or do you want both? And when do you want this to work? So with AcuSense, you can set it on schedules. So you can say during the day, it's fine. People and vehicles moving around, that's good. But at night, you only want to see vehicles leaving. You don't want to see any humans there, because those cars should be parked, or known people coming through. So you just want to be alerted to the exceptions, which are people. So just classify it to alert you on humans that move through the scene. That's called AcuSense. Not only have we got AcuSense, we've also got something called LiveGuard. Now, what LiveGuard is, it's an active deterrent. So what I mean by this is, you install a CCTV system, sometimes people forget there's CCTV installed. So if the bad guys come onto the site, forget that there's CCTV, or don't notice there's CCTV, with this LiveGuard feature, they come on, you've pre-programmed humans shouldn't be in certain areas at certain times, so the camera will start strobe-like flashing at them. So as an active deterrent, they'll see a camera flashing light at them. Not only that, it's got a built-in speaker to this camera, so the speaker that can then announce pre-recorded messages. So it could be the standard ones that come on the camera, e.g. shown on the screen, warning, this is a restricted area, please keep away. Or you can upload your custom messages. So it could be, welcome to Ford, we're closed at the moment, please come back tomorrow. Or you could broadcast live to this camera, get an alert through on your mobiles, on your apps, and it's because you want to know about humans, you get the alert come through, you can then start broadcasting through the camera, excuse me, you're not supposed to be here, yeah, you with the red jumper on, hiding behind the blue car, I can't see you, yeah, please leave, thank you very much. Active deterrent. So now, because this is normally set up on a perimeter, that person that's come along, they know there's cameras, they know they've been challenged, they usually leave. So you don't get the broken windows, you don't get the stolen laptop, you don't have the disruption of having to deal with insurance companies to replace the window, or replace a laptop that you might not have backed up properly, so you're losing data. All that disruption to your customer business can be hopefully avoided with this proactive deterrent that's built into this camera. And that's what we're calling LiveGuard. Now, rapid focus. For those that have seen rapid focus before in our PTZ range, you've already been amazed. For those that haven't, prepare to be amazed. On the first video, you can see on the conventional focus, we've got a camera, PTZ camera, that's panning around, zooming in. We've now focused in on that car. We can clearly see it's a Volkswagen, clearly see the number plate that's on there. Great image. But if we look at the one on the right, that now uses rapid focus, I'll just advance through onto, there we go. Now, this is using rapid focus. So when you get to that car, it's already focused in. So we already know it's a Volkswagen straight away. We already know the number plate. Particularly useful perhaps if you're using it in that circular tracking, so you can spend less time on the target as you move across lots of different targets. And that's very easy to configure, and obviously incredible results. Introduce the product in a little bit more detail. So we're calling it Bullet, but Not really a bullet camera. In fact, on a live demonstration that Matt will be coming up in a few minutes and will show you, we've got a camera looking back at the camera so you can physically see the product from the side. It's actually a little wedge type housing that's on the top of the pan tilt housing. So it's very neat, very discreet looking product. So as the slide says, 4 megapixel, 4mm wide angle, very low light, the AcuSense technology built in, but also it's got built-in IR illuminators. So what that means is you get, in 0 lux, you can still get good high contrasting images to be able to see if there's humans or if there's vehicles in areas, to be able to reliably tell the PTZ dome to move in and start getting more detailed information. And on that PTZ underneath, you can see you've got 150 meters of IR lighting. So very powerful infrared lighting on the dome camera underneath as well to maintain those good quality images. And the built-in speaker. Now you've got a product code along the bottom. I haven't counted how many characters it is, but it's quite a long product code. But don't worry about what the product code is. All you need to do is ring up your distributor and say, can I have 1, 2, some of those enhanced smart linkage PTZs, please? And they'll be more than happy to type in the product code and get those delivered out to you. Applications. Where would you use this type of product? Well, as part of our interactive survey, we're going to be asking you some questions about that as well, because we've identified larger areas. We're thinking car parks, roads, small squares, little city centres, etc. But where would you use this? I think there's multiple applications for the smart linkage PTZ. Now, from that presentation, hopefully it would have answered a lot of questions, but remember this email address is still up there, answers.uk@hikvision.com. Please include in the subject line smart linkage PTZ, and we'll be answering those questions as they come in live throughout this morning. I'm now going to hand over to my colleague, Matt Rose, who's going to give us a live demonstration of some of the technologies I've just explained. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mark. My name's Matt Rose. I'm one of the pre-sales engineers here at Hikvision. And I'm going to run through with you today the live demonstration of the Smart Linkage PTZ. So let's start off. Let's see if we can get the cameras up on the screen there so we can see what we got. I'll just give you a bit of background of what we got on the screen here. So we've got our Smart Linkage PTZ as the top 2 images there. We've got the PTZ camera over on the left-hand side, and then we've got the bullet camera over on the right-hand side. On the bottom left-hand side, we've got a conventional bullet camera that's just looking back at the Smart Linkage PTZ, so you can see that live guard in operation as well. So we're going to start off with a bit of manual zoom in. So hopefully I can see a target right at the bottom of, right at the top end of the screen there. So we'll just zoom in on that, and then we can see the amount of detail that we do actually lose from zooming in. We can see the bullet camera there on the right-hand side, and we're actually missing that completely as we're following this target round. There we are. The smart track is just taken over there, so we'll just cancel that. So as you can see, I'm right in on the target here, and it's just clear to see, isn't it? There we go. Right, let's just pan that one back out. And even you can see that we've got somebody there on the left-hand side looking at that vehicle, and they're completely missed from the PTZ camera there. Right, so that's back to where it is. Let's go and have a look at some analytics that we've got set up on the Smart Linkage. We'll go through and show you how those configuration options are done. So we'll go into the menu. Let's just put the symbol in. We'll go over to Smart Analysis. And we're going to be looking at perimeter detection. So we'll select perimeter detection. We're creating our rule from the bullet camera. So let's select the bullet camera, which is this one here. Now we're going to be looking at an intrusion event. So we need to select the right event that we're looking at, in this case, intrusion. So we can see we've got the event enabled. We've got our detection box here in the middle. So let's just go through some of the options that we've got here. So we've got time threshold over on the right-hand side. And that means the amount of time that the target is inside of the box before it generates an alert. We've also got sensitivity underneath from a scale from 1 to 100. And that's a percentage of the target that needs to be inside the box before it generates an alert. So in this example, we've got it set to 71. So if my maths is right, that will be 29% of the target will need to be inside of that box to generate an alert. We've also got some further those AcuSense options underneath. So we can choose whether our detection target is human or vehicle or even both. But in this case, we're just going to select it for human only. Let's just pop back to the main screen. We'll put that full screen as well. There we go. Right, so we're just going to set some targets through the scene to go through that box that we've already got drawn on, and we'll see how the camera operates. So we're going to start off with a vehicle. Let's see if we can get a vehicle moving across the scene there. Off he goes. And no activation at all from that. So we're going to try something else. So let's see if we can get a ball going across the scene. There we go. No activation from that as well. So let's actually see it work. So let's send a human across the scene. There we go. There goes the human. And the tracking going as well. We can also see on the bottom left-hand side the live guard in operation as well. Absolutely brilliant. There we go. Look at that. Well, that concludes the live demonstration. I hope you found it useful. I'd like to take this time to hand back over to Mark, who's going to complete the Mentimeter survey and also the prize draw. Thank you very much.
Matt, thank you so much for that live demonstration of the product. So what it showed there was the live guard, where you saw the strobe lights flashing and the voice announcing to clear the area, and ignoring the objects that we weren't interested in, just the human that was running around that car park.